Hi everyone, it's Sharon Goulet in Melbourne from digitalnomadwannabe.com. Now I hope that you find me. I've just had, and I'm sorry people, I kept waiting. I've just had one of those, you know how technical things can be. I thought this week, even though I didn't really fully understand what you needed to do, that I would try scheduling the live, you know, because that's easier for everybody and it's awesome. It sounds awesome anyway, in theory. But when I came to try and do the live, I couldn't get it to work. I just kind of hoped, when I didn't really understand when I set it up, that when it was time to go live, it would become obvious and it would all just kind of work. But I've just been sitting here for the last 40 minutes, going a bit crazy. So it was time to give up. So hopefully you'll still find me here. Maybe I'll work it out for another week. If you've ever done this, like with the scheduling live, I would love it if you could PM me and give me some tips. That would be really awesome. But for now, you know, we'll just stick to the normal format, and hopefully that'll be fine. It also means that I usually practice everything a lot before I go live, but I've been so busy trying to just get it working that I didn't. Hi, Lisa. Yeah. So anyway, stuff happens. It's one of those things. I remember at ProBlogger when I was there last year, there was a lot of talk about taking imperfect action, and I think that's a really good thing in blogging. So like with this, I didn't know exactly how it would work out, but sometimes it's better just to try and see, and obviously massive fail this time. But, you know, if I never tried doing anything before I knew what I was doing in blogging, I would still not be a professional blogger. So, such is life. It'll get there. But, okay, let's talk about sponsored posts. That's why we're here, making money from sponsored posts. So one of my favorite topics being making money from blogging. And this time we're going to talk about sponsored posts. So I've had a couple of blog posts recently, especially this week. There's one about why sponsored posts are a great way to go when it comes to making money. A couple of months ago, I published one that was like a guide, like step-by-step of how to make money from sponsored posts. And you're also able to download for free my chapter from the book, Making Money from Blogging. You can download the chapter on sponsored posts. So I'll put links to all of that below. And I also have a course on this subject. So a lot of info out there on this subject, and I'm sort of going to go through it all now so you get a more condensed, to the point version in hopefully, less than 20 minutes. So let's get onto it. Hey, so to start with, what is a sponsored post? You know, okay, it's just really when you put a post on your website and some companies paid for you to feature them in some way. Now, sometimes this is like a full-on review, or it's it might just be like a paragraph, might even just be a line at the bottom saying that they sponsored that article, right? There's so many ways that sponsored posts can be done and how they can look. There's also rules about disclaimers and all that, and all those are like country specific, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm sorry, but that one is up to you to work out. I certainly tend to disclose when I'm doing a sponsored post, but you know, everyone has their own business model. So the pros of sponsored posts. I think the biggest pro is that there is many companies out there looking for bloggers to work with. Okay, it's not a rare thing at all. There are tons of opportunities. Sometimes, you know, this can also be rather than just money. Sometimes people do like reviews or travel, which can be sponsored posts as well. So there's lots of different ways you can do it. Often there is very little work involved, so that's what can be great. Often brands just want to mention in a link and they don't really care about the rest. So sometimes you do a proper campaign where you do it in multiple posts. There might be a competition, it might be social media. Sometimes they just really want a link. So, I mean, that's really simple, easy work. So it can pay very well relative to the work involved. But like everything in blogging, you know, it has its downsides as well. So one is if you're being paid to mention a client and give them a link, sorry, I really should turn off seeing these comments as I talk. It's a very big turn off. Anyway, but yeah, if you're being paid to give a link to a company, and Google realizes that happened, then they can penalize you, which might be a proper penalty where they de-index your site from Google, or they might just lower the traffic to your site. So obviously that's not good at all. The upside is if that happens, you can just remove the link and get back reinstated. Not to say that will just happen overnight, but it's certainly I know people where they have been de-indexed and got a penalty and they've come back. It's also like quite a low risk, because if you think about it, you're mentioning companies all the time in posts with links. So most people get away with it. Okay. So, I mean, you really have to do your own like benefit risk review of that and decide what is the right strategy for you. I think a lot of people get paranoid about it too, because a lot of people don't talk openly about it, but because they don't want to get penalty. But really, like, there are so many bloggers that do it. I know a few that earn really big bucks doing a whole lot of sponsored posts. So the risk is quite low, but there is that risk. And it can also be hard to connect with clients looking for sponsored posts when your blog's not that widely known. So it can be quite hard at the beginning. Once you get bigger, like I found getting listed on the top 50 travel blogs thing, that made a huge difference. I get people most days asking me for sponsored posts. So, we'll talk about that more in a minute. So working on how to attract people to come and work with you really depends on what they're looking for. And so there's sort of like two things to be mindful of, and then ways that you can attract people. So one is the people who are more interested in a link, which is a lot of companies, they're going to actually care more about your domain authority than anything else. So it's not as important what your social media followers are or your page views. So don't think you need a certain number of page views or whatever. They're going to care more about domain authority. So it's about working on building that up. And then you have the ones that care more about your influence. So they're going to care about the social media follows, your metrics, like, how many page views. And then you also want to think about, especially if those numbers aren't so high, how you can show engagement on your site. So it could be comments. I mean, you could just start taking screenshots or notes of people who send you emails thanking you for being helpful. There's comments, there's comments on a Facebook post, all those types of things. Try and thinking of sort of clever ways about how you can show influence. And I discuss that more in my book, Making Money from Blogging. Now, sometimes they want both of those things and they're interested in both. So you've just got to make sure, like, sort of when someone approaches you or you're approaching them, know what sort of goal they have, and keep that in mind sort of when you pitch them. Are they if they're just interested in, like, they don't even care about all that other stuff a lot of the time. But, if they're really interested in seeing your influence, then you need to get, like, good at showing how you can influence people. Now, if you can't show any of those things, it is going to be a bit tricky, and I would say that you really need to work on your blog a little bit more first before you worry about sponsored posts too much. So try and get that domain authority up, get your ways that you can show your influence, brainstorm what you can do to improve that. Some other good things that you're going to want to do regardless of influence is just making sure that your site looks okay. Now, it doesn't have to look like the best site in the world. My sites certainly do not. But you want to look somewhat professional. You want your site to look like it is somewhat cared for, that it's not just going to go disappear the next day, that you post somewhat regularly. Now, this doesn't have to be every day. It certainly doesn't have to be every day. But, once a month is probably something to aim for at least. And you definitely want to work on that domain authority. So you could do that with the 7-day link building challenge that I have. So you get 7 days of emails sent to you with different tips. And the idea is that you're going to build 2 links a day for 7 days. So that's a really good way if you want to grow your domain authority or your rankings in Google. Just so like sort of quick way to get you thinking that way and building a whole lot of links. So I'll link to that below as well. That's free. That's just an email every day for 7 days. Now, finding sponsors can be the hardest part. So ways that I think you should go about this is definitely having a work with me page and a way to contact you. Now, I also see this from the other perspective because I have niche sites and I have gone and tried to buy sponsored posts off bloggers. And it has really, really surprised me how many don't have any way to be contacted on their website. Now, if you want to work with clients, you need to have, like, you can put your email address up there. I know a lot of people get paranoid putting their email address on a site that they'll get spam, but you know what? I have mine on there and I don't get spam. So, or my email's filtering it out, but whatever, I don't see it. So I don't even find it bad having my actual email address on the page. But, contact forms are better. I use contact forms as well. I have both. So have a way for them to contact you. Ideally, you want a detailed work page that has everything, everything that you do, services you offer. Now, it's not like you need to put how much you charge on there or anything, but you should give them an idea of what you're willing to do. Like I know that when I was looking for people to work with, that the more, like if they said on there that they did sponsored posts, then I'm going to spend time contacting them rather than the other ones who I'm not really sure if they do. And also, like, a lot of people to find those opportunities will Google, like travel blogger sponsored posts or whatever else, right? So if you don't even mention it on your site, then you're just making it harder for people to find you and to give them an incentive to contact you over other bloggers. Now, there are also quite a few sites that can connect you with clients. So I have links to those in the blog post I'll link to below. I've got a few places you can go where you can try and connect with clients. They're ones I've been told by people recently that they're working out, because I used to join a lot of them at the beginning when I did a lot of sponsored posts, and most people I never got an opportunity through them, so it was a bit of a waste of time, but I'm told these sites are better. And I know ones like cj.com and stuff seem to be doing more of it now too. I did one for one in there actually the other month, so that was really good. Especially because when they were through there, there wasn't an issue with no follow. I got paid through my affiliate account with CJ anyway, so it was all very easy. Now, if you have the numbers, submitting to lists like the top 50 travel blogs that I mentioned before. So that's a list that another travel blogger puts out, where they actually get travel bloggers to send in their Google Analytics snapshot and they list them, and a lot of big travel bloggers do. So it really helped me once I was able to make that list to get more contacts, or even moving up it. Now I'm 11. I started at 49. I've definitely seen an increase as I move up the list as well. So obviously not everyone can do that, but if you do have pretty good numbers, and there's lots of lists out there too that aren't just page views, they could be social media followers or whatever, because those lists come up when people Google top travel blogs, right? So it helps people find you as well. Now, buying and swapping contacts with others. So yeah, a lot of bloggers swap contacts. I see people talking about it in the group. That's fine. I know personally when I've done that people tend to give you their crap contacts, so that can be a bit annoying. But hopefully you can find some good connections where they don't rip you off. I did buy a contact list at the beginning when I first started trying to make money from my blog, and it was a really good investment. I think I paid $400. I had it back within a week, and then I made a ton more money. So it can be hard finding people who are selling it, but it can definitely be a great way to go too. I also have a Facebook group I run along with my sponsored post course. So even if you think you know what you're doing with sponsored posts, you might enjoy signing up to it, because if you buy the option for $250, you get access to the Facebook group. So it has over 80 contacts in there at the moment. Everyone who's in there has not had problem making money from them. I add new ones every week. At the moment, it's 5+ a week I've been adding, but it really depends, because these are fresh contacts. So none of them are more than a few months old. So they're people looking for bloggers right now. So it really just depends how many I email me, because I don't do sponsored posts anymore. I just forward on, I just copy and paste the contacts who copy me, and I put it in that group. So that's helping a lot of people have success. So that's definitely a way you can go as well. And I do offer a refund on that as well. So if you don't make your money back, you get your money back anyway, but as long as your domain authority is not really low, I tend to recommend 25+, but in saying that, there's someone in there who was on 18 and they've done really well out of it, so it can work still. But there's another option for you. So when you do sponsored posts, how much should you charge? I think this is one of the most popular questions. Now, it depends on lots of factors, like your domain authority, your influence, and what they're after in relation to those. If they're just after a link, it'll be pretty much based on domain authority. If they're after your influence, then it will depend how well you can really demonstrate that you have the right target audience for them, and that you'll be able to influence them. It also depends on if they write the post or you write the post, or if you're just adding a link to an old post. Definitely take into account your time when you're doing this too. I see so many of these calculations that are just based on your domain authority or whatever, but you've got to make sure it's worthwhile for you. Even when my domain authority was a lot lower and I didn't have the audience at all, I always just decided I wasn't doing it for less than $50 an hour for a start. So it might mean that you get a bit less opportunities there, but if you're making more money from them, it kind of balances out and it's less stressful. But that's something you have to work out for yourself. And when you are working out based on your own time as well, make sure you take into account the negotiation time beforehand, and sometimes you've got to send quite a few emails to get paid. So you got to sort of add in some extra time for that. But this is an example that I use, and everyone's going to have different prices. I find online they always have these tables about how much you can get paid from sponsored posts, and they're so crazy high. I'm like, no one's paying me a few $1,000s for a link on my website. Like, it's just not a plausible reality. So these are some things I have for DA30. So a link added to an existing post, like $100 a year. A post supplied by a client with 1 to 2 relevant links, $150 a year. A post written by you with 1 to 2 relevant links, $250 for 1 year. Permanent links for an extra $200, and social media promotion of a post, it costs an additional $50. So if anything, they're probably a little bit on the low side. I personally would not go lower than that. But yeah, that's some ideas for around DA30. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who sell them for super cheap. So that's why you get lots of annoying offers. Whenever someone seems to send me a price lately, it's just so ridiculously low. But you can definitely negotiate. So if someone says a price you don't like, just negotiate. Now, there's templates for pitching in the downloadable chapter you can get from my website about sponsored posts. There's even more in the course. But yeah, I'll link to that below, and you can go download that if you haven't already. I also talk about how to make sure you get paid, as you do need to stay on top of this. I recommend just being a total hard ass about it and just remove anything about them if they don't pay. I don't do social media promotion of anything without payment first too. Just these little things can help them. Initially, I'd try to get paid beforehand, but that was actually really hard to actually make happen. So I just started putting them up, and sometimes I password protect. So, and I put an old date so no one was coming across it accidentally, and once they paid, it would go live. But if they insist on going actually live first, I would hold back on the social media promotion, and if they don't pay within a week or whatever you've arranged with them, just remove it. Like, I've actually always got paid. I have removed quite a few times. I find as soon as I remove, they paid. So don't be one of the bloggers I see in groups saying, oh, it's been months and they still haven't paid. It's like, just remove it. Like, just if they want it, like, and they probably do, that'll prompt them. So that's about all I've got to say. You can definitely go look at the guides and the posts on Digital Nomad Wannabe, so that will give you more information if you're interested in this, and it would give you a bit more detail. And there's also the course too, which I especially recommend if you're looking for contacts, because honestly, you'll make your money back really quickly, and then you'll just have profit after that. And that group is shut off to only 30 people. We're about half full at the moment. Just because, like, obviously the contacts will stop being valuable to you if hundreds of people have them. So it's just a private group. I ask no one to share them or whatever, just so we all get benefit. Now, the challenge this week in the Facebook group, we've already had a sponsored post challenge before. So this time we're just going to talk about the Work With Me page. So I think even those of us that have put a lot of effort in our Work With Me page, like myself, I haven't really updated it in a while. So it will be great for people who need to just go create one, and also for those of us that need to remind ourselves to just go take a look and reevaluate what we've got there. So hopefully you'll come to the group and join in on that. Sorry for the hassle with getting this started. I might not schedule it again until I'm sure I know what I'm doing, but hopefully, I'll see you live next week, because next week is the day before we go away on our Africa trip. So so it'll be great to see you then. Bye.